And we're back. All right, here we go. Patrons. Thank you, patrons. Woo! I think we're up to 6 now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, thank you, Jay. You're our new patron.
Jay, welcome.
Thanks.
We appreciate you.
So we did Christians in Hollywood. Now let's look at their counterparts, the real people in the Bible.
So here's some real people that you'll recognize in the Bible. And the first one is Peter. Peter is a religious zealot. He's a hypocrite. And he's a challenger.
Wow. And so James becomes the leader of the church in Jerusalem, which is the most hostile place to this movement at that time. But was prior to that not a believer in Jesus while living in the same household. So
crazy.
he's a skeptical believer is who he is.
And then we have Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament. He's the powerfully persuasive convert with a crazy conversion story. So
I wrote that.
Yeah, it was good. Hey, you're scaling the walls with that one.
He was trying to get that out, but that was Mary Jo writing.
Hey, it's really good writing. It flowed off the tongue.
The powerfully persuasive convert with a crazy conversion story.
Man, that really works. You got to read that. It's really good. So we have Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Do you want to say more about Paul?
No, I mean, we're getting to less statements about him, but Paul is, we rarely get a Paul in cinema. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think maybe Ben-Hur a little bit, but he's not an active persecutor of Christians as far as I can remember. He's a Roman, but, and then you have like the Mission. There's a guy in there that's not actively persecuting Christians, but he's a bad man who has committed murder. And so you get his conversion.
How about Kylo Ren? A little bit, maybe?
He starts good and then he goes bad and then he becomes good. So he's got a, what is that arc called? I don't remember. There's a name for that when you start good and then you have
It's kind of a Vader arc. Same thing.
Maybe the hero's journey? No.
I don't know.
No, it's not.
You
the
guys
hero's
probably
journey.
could look it up. Just Google it. Tell us.
We're so informative. So we have Paul, who has this amazing conversion story, and he's an active persecutor of Christians, and he comes around to being one of the greatest proselytizers, one of the greatest evangelists in the Christian faith that's recorded in the Bible, and writes most of the Bible, most of the New Testament, sorry. So we don't see characters like that.
Yeah.
So there's Paul.
Okay.
We don't see characters like that in Hollywood.
Then we have young Timothy. So he's one that needs encouragement to be bold. We saw a lot of that. So if you read the New Testament, you see that he's just a young guy. He needs that encouragement.
Right. And then there's Joseph. Joseph, the father of Jesus. You know, he's not the natural father because it's a miraculous birth, but he is the father of Jesus. And he's important because he is the disbeliever in miracles. Mm-hmm. And not that he always disbelieves in every miracle, but when Mary becomes pregnant, this is not something Joseph is willing to believe right off the bat. So he's like, that's not how people get pregnant. He doesn't say that in the Bible, but we know that's what he's thinking because of his actions, that he's going to put her away quietly. So he's going to quietly not get married to her and break off the engagement.
Sure. Anyway, and then lastly, we have Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Mary's a faithful and willing questioner.
There you go.
And so she's willing, she's faithful to God, and you can see that she has great respect for the Lord, that she is a believer.
Yes.
But she does have a question.
Yeah, because this has never happened before, so I'd be asking questions too.
Once again, we see another person in the Bible that's just not like they aren't just a blind believer in miracles that happen. They do question these things and say, how can this happen? Because I'm a virgin. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
that's our list.
There's our list.
So we did Hollywood Christians, a few of them, and now we're doing and then we did some of the Bible.
Peter,
Christians.
James, Paul, Timothy, Joseph, and Mary. So, Mary Jo, what would you call yourself?
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. I don't feel like I'm ever represented in Hollywood as a Christian, ever. Like, right. I don't relate to anybody. And that's because I'm a skeptical believer. I'm a James. I'm or more of a Joseph. You know, maybe a mix there of that kind of a believer in which, I believe in God, and a lot of that is based in the fact that I can't get around belief in God. I believe that the evidence and reason point to belief in God, or existence of God, which is why not all the way, but it's a lot of why I think he's real. And I've also had a personal experience in salvation, but when I questioned that, I went back to, well, how do I know God's real? And the evidence led me back to God.
Right.
So, my view of God, somebody might say, well, that's really bland, very professorish and rational. And it's not all that. Like, I don't have an overly romanticized or a hyper spiritualized kind of view of God going on. I do understand the emotional and rational that come together, and I worship him in spirit and truth.
I was
right?
thinking
things that you can't see.
I was actually thinking back to, because I was there at the moment that you accepted Christ. I was there, and Mary Jo's getting asked the evangelism explosion questions, and she's just, she's logically thinking through what she's doing. And I'm over there boo-hooing, just like I did when I was saved at the age of 9. So for me, this is an emotional moment. The Holy Spirit is regenerating this person beside me, and she's being very rational about this. I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And some people might go, well, were you really saved? But what I saw that happened immediately after that was a person who had a thirst for the Word of God. I've never seen anybody grow as fast as Mary Jo did. It was amazing. So I had to go, God will save people in the way that he'll save people, and he creates them each unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been, people have told me they don't think I have enough faith or things like that. I rely too heavily on my knowledge side, and, so I am actively pursuing relationship with God because I realize that I tend to lean towards my upbringing, which was methodological naturalism. Mm-hmm. So I tend to be skeptical of things first. I tend to not be the believer of things first.
Right.
And the reason we're bringing this up, I went way into my story that I didn't mean to, but the reason we're bringing this up is that I do not find myself reflected in any Hollywood, in any Hollywood character. Like, I can't find myself. Now, that maybe the closest they come is like the Cobra Kai pastor.
Oh, that's a good point.
Who's a refreshing Christian appearance in a show, in that he has a jaded past. Well, not jaded. He has a shady past.
That'll work.
And he has come to belief in God, and now he's a pastor, but that doesn't make him Ned Flanders on The Simpsons. He's still very realistic about.
So who would I be out of this list of our people? I'd say I've got a little bit of Paul. Definitely have some Paul, because I'm a challenger. I like to challenge.
Oh, we didn't say that about Paul, but yes, he's a challenger.
Yeah, he is as well. Peter is also a challenger, but I've got a little bit of Peter in me as well. So there's that. And then Mary, I'm faithful. I sometimes I don't understand what things are doing, but I'm faithful because I know that it's going to work out in the end. So to put me into an amalgam, I'm a Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Oh, you're a band.
Yes.
We should have right here a little interlude with the Peter, Paul, and Mary song.
How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man?
Nice.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's really good. There is a great new resource that is coming out called the Savvy Project. SAVVY, Savvy Project. And it is being designed right now. It is in production. I think they're scheduling it fall 2021, somewhere in there, maybe into 2022. But it's something that's just kind of happened as a brainchild of a couple of people down in Houston. They had some money to invest, and they said, hey, what's a need? And they saw a great need within student apologetics videos. And so what they're doing is they're creating the top-notch videos that can be accessed for free online. And they were needing somebody to give them some direction as far as the content. And they said, hey, Mary Jo, we think you'd be great at that. So Mary Jo's the content director of the Savvy Project. I want you guys to check them out. And their website is
savvyproject.org. And Savvy has 2 V's.
Oh, man. It's going to be fantastic. So check that out before it hits the mainstream. You'll be one of the early people to view that. Definitely.
Okay.
All right. SavvyProject.org.
When it comes down to it, moving along, when it comes down to it, I don't think Hollywood accurately portrays a lot of people and jobs, professions. Like, they don't if you talk to a policeman, they're not really accurate on those, or an astronaut, or, firefighters, or any of those.
So people's professions.
Yeah. So I realize that my critique is a little pie in the sky, that I'm like, hey, I can't find myself in any of your characters. There's probably policemen out there like, neither can I. So the reason we're addressing this is because Hollywood is such an influential, such a powerful medium of communication. It has such a powerful voice in our lives, so that you don't go, oh, I'm nervous about that person because they're atheist. No, they're a person that holds to atheist views. So one of the problems I have, I guess, with Hollywood is they flatline people to their views. Yeah. And they are a person who holds those views. So, get to know the people around you, know that they're cognitively complex. They're not reducible to their view at any one given point in time. Right. And so they're a person to be loved. They're a person to be cherished. They're a person that you're going to have conflict with, and you're going to need to work through that. So the Bible is actually a really good resource for that.
That's good. Yeah. Thanks for helping me out on that one. You mentioned Inside Out. The class that I'm teaching currently in our church right now is about resolving everyday conflict, and I assigned my class Inside Out, and I want to assign it to you guys too. If you haven't seen Disney's Pixar Inside Out, go check it out. It's another one that you're going to cry on, and then go over to Cinema Therapy and see what their review of it too. So that's a bonus for you guys. Go check that out. So thank you for joining us for this episode of The Pastor and the Professor. On today's episode, we question if Hollywood accurately portrays Christians, and our takeaway is
that there are many different kinds of people who profess to believe in Jesus. You can't reduce all Christians down to a single stereotype. Christians are as diverse as the world in which we live.
Yeah, so if you need more resources, go check out maryjosharp.com, and then learn the word of the day, which is amalgam. Amalgam. So there's your bonus. Thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate you.
Amalgam.